therapist, and I'm also owner of Bridge & Co. Counseling. We have practices or locations in Rogers, Lino Lakes, Buffalo, Minnesota. We've been doing different Facebook Lives throughout COVID, and we then take them and upload them on YouTube. So we would love it if you could come on over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel and click the bell to get notifications. Today I am particularly nervous because I'm going to be talking about race. I do not feel qualified at all to talk about this, and I feel like even talking about this, I might potentially say something wrong. But I am going to be doing it anyways because I think this is what we need to do. I think that more of us need to not be scared to talk about things that we're uncomfortable about, and we need to step out and say things because this is how we can change things. This is not political at all. I would say one of the things that I have done as a company is that we don't share political things as a company. We really talk a lot about mental health, and that's really something that we are very passionate about. But I think this really is important because this impacts our mental health. It actually impacts how we feel about other people and how we can choose to just skip around a topic. We can skip around a difficult topic and we can say, well, I don't need to talk about that, or why do I need to talk about that? That doesn't affect me. Well, it does, and it affects our kids, and it really does affect who we are inside if it's something that we avoid. So that's why I'm talking about this, because I want to show that we can. I want to be a scared white person talking about this, and I want you to see that we can do this. I have a quote from Martin Luther King that he says that in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And so when you see a friend who is hurting, you go help them, regardless if you're uncomfortable or not. And I think that this is one of the things that we need to do is we need to talk about uncomfortable things, and it is not political. I think that's one thing why people stop talking about this is because people do make this political. Sorry, I don't mean to get on a rampage, but I think this is part of some of the issue why we're uncomfortable talking about this, because someone will label it as political, and it's not. This is a people issue. And as an owner of a mental health practice, I love all people. And so what I would say here is that as white people, or actually of all people, that we need to increase our capacity to be able to talk about things. We need to be able to talk about race. We can't just say this isn't my problem, or we can't just say, we have to think about things. What if this was your brother? What if this was your sister? What if this was your mom? Sorry. I think we struggle to talk about this because we don't think about it as somebody in our own family. We don't think about it as something that would actually impact us. We keep it at a distance, and we can. White people can. We can choose to say this isn't my issue. And we can choose to say, well, they're doing this, and that it is something that is not, it's not something that you personally deal with, because a lot of us don't have somebody that we're personally dealing with it. So we can keep it at a distance. And we can't just say, we can't just stand back and say, I'm just being kind, or I love all people, I'm not racist. We have to actually say something. Okay, so that's why I'm doing this. Here's how we can do this. We have to get educated. We have to do the research. We have to go buy books. We need to go look at articles. There is a lot out there. Have the privilege to choose that or not. So you want to step in, you want to say something, do some research, get curious, okay? And then know that this growth is continual. It's not something that's just going to stop. You're not going to all of a sudden, oh, I know I've arrived, just like with anything else. It's an ongoing process, but you really want to do the work to research. So I have a close friend that I reached out to and asked about the protests. And because some people will get really, really upset about seeing the hurt that is caused in Minneapolis. And I would agree. There's been a lot of pain, a lot of things that have burnt down. And here is what this person said. If seeing protests makes you more upset than watching a cop kill a black man, our society, our humanity has failed us. Be the difference. I think we can jump to be defensive and we look at the wrong thing. I have done this myself. This is why this is hard for me to talk about this, because I've totally done this where I look at the wrong thing. We need to be looking at humans. We need to be looking at people, and we need to see that we are different. And that's just how it is. And we need to ask questions and get educated about this instead of being defensive. We have to get curious and we have to wonder. So here is one of the reasons why we shrink to being silent, because of shame. And so because I am a Daring Way facilitator, we talk about shame, and I'm going to talk about how we can recognize it. I've done this in a different video, but I think this is important because this keeps us talking about things instead of ignoring things. So when we notice shame when it talks to race, instead of just avoiding the conversation and saying, I don't need to talk about it, what you want to do is just get curious, and you want to recognize it and notice what's going on. Notice if you feel it in your body. Yep, this is shame. This is what's showing up. Okay? It's okay to get there and to get curious, but we want to keep moving through it, because when you move through it, you can actually get to the other side, which is more comfort in talking about it. The fact that I'm even doing this video means that I've been able to work through some of my shame to be able to get to the place to be able to talk about it. So you got to recognize it, understand it. I notice in my stomach, I notice in my chest, my heart's beating, whatever that is that where shame's showing up. And then number 2 is you need to practice critical awareness. Okay? Shame works like, like a zoom lens on a camera. When we're feeling the shame, the camera's like zoomed in really tight, and all we see is our flawed self alone and struggling. Okay? And we think to ourselves, I'm the only one, something's wrong with me, I'm alone. So we avoid the conversation. This is like classic what happens when we talk about race, especially when we say something stupid, which we do. And so we go to this place and then we think, I don't ever want to talk about that again. And I'm going to avoid that conversation altogether. I'm going to avoid researching this or looking into this. I don't want to go there. I'm going to just challenge us all. We need to keep going there. This is the only place that we're going to be able to move and shift culture so that we can be more comfortable and love each other. So the third one is that you want to reach out. Talk to other friends. Talk to other people. If you do have Black friends, talk to them if they're friends. If they're not friends, don't go ask somebody that you don't really feel very comfortable with. Okay, they need to be somebody that you feel safe with and that they feel safe with you. That's the problem. Okay, and then number 4 is you want to speak it. You want to get it out. You want to speak it. When you talk about it, it gives it less power. Like, hey, I'm actually feeling really bad about this. I'm feeling shame that I was actually thinking a racist thought. Okay, then move on. Like, you don't stay there. That doesn't mean you are a racist and that you're horrible. You want to keep moving on. We want to keep talking about it. Keep the conversation going. The reason why I wanted to bring up shame is because this is a topic that is very difficult for people to talk about. And then any other topic that people avoid lots of difficult topics in their family. Like, oh, I know I need to confront my brother about this, but I'm too afraid to talk to him about it. We avoid all sorts of conversations because of shame. And so we need to get curious. And when we educate ourselves, we actually can decrease some of those shame triggers because we're starting to get educated. We start to learn. And then you're like, oh, okay, maybe I can actually talk about this. Okay, yes, there is white privilege. Yes, there is a race issue in America. Yeah, there's an issue here. So just naming it that there's an issue instead of avoiding things can allow us to feel more comfortable. Let's see here. Like I said before, educating ourselves is important. Read about, like I was saying, read about white privilege and then racial bias. When you're able to educate yourself and you're able to kind of see that like I said, you can get more comfortable. You can get curious. You can start to wonder. But here's the thing. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to say things wrong. You're going to do things wrong. But we need to not give up. We need to keep saying things. I think that this really impacts the mental health of us individually, I think as people of color, and as our society as a whole. And I'm talking about this literally on a neutral stance. I have no political agendas here. This is tying back to our mental health. So I hope that this brought encouragement. I'm really just wanting to say that we can talk about this. Don't be afraid. I'm not doing this perfect. I'm kind of messing this up as I'm talking about this. But I just really felt in my heart that I wanted to come out and talk about this so that people can start to feel a little more comfortable and know that I'm kind of messing up here. You can too. So don't be afraid. And if you have a friend or someone who's saying, but I can't believe that this building was burned down or this was happened, yeah, say, yeah, I agree. And there's a reason why this is happening. People are not feeling heard. How would it feel if this happened to you? Put yourself in the situation. Like I was saying, if it was your mother, if it was your child, put yourself in that situation. So when I raise my children, I'm bringing this into the conversation. We have books about different colors. We talk about it. So just talk about it in your home. You don't need to talk about it like this is a sensitive topic. Just talk about it like it's another topic. So I'm going to end with another Martin Luther King Jr. quote, which we've actually posted about this on our page. I love it. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So I am speaking these things in love. Speak to other people in love. If somebody else is not in a place of love talking to you, remember, that's not your hate. That's their hate. Okay? Sometimes we can really struggle to, if somebody else is angry or is they're frustrated or they're getting defensive, that's where they're at, and that's okay. We have to allow people to be able to be where they're at. It doesn't need to be yours. You come and you approach people with these conversations with knowing who you are. It's a powerful stance. Like, I know who I am. I'm coming from a place of love. Somebody else might say something that, they're getting defensive and they're struggling with what you're saying. Just say, okay, I hear you. I get it. I understand that you're struggling with that. And we can hear other people when they're struggling, but we got to stay in our space. We have to stay in our place of love. We can't jump to wherever somebody else is at and all of a sudden we're feeling what they're feeling. And this is where I think, if you want to, last week we talked about empathy. So we talked about how to have difficult conversations, how to hear other people, and how to use empathy with difficult conversations. So thank you so much for watching me mess up and be vulnerable and real. And I hope that this is encouraging, that we all can talk about this. We all can step out and talk about race and mess up and keep trying again. Thank you for watching.